the Sri Isopanisad states, everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. The animate and inanimate are both stated to be controlled and owned by the Lord. This is because the animate and inanimate are both emanations from Him. Inanimate energy is called apara prakriti, and in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 4, this is described as being comprised of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, and intelligence, Krishna's 8 separated material energies. The animate energy is called para prakriti. This is described in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 text 5 as being a superior energy to apara prakriti, and is all living entities who are struggling within the material nature and are sustaining the universe. Everything is the Lord's energy and is therefore controlled and owned by Him. We, as the para prakriti energy of the Lord, have no claim of ownership from the perspective of Sri Isopanisad. As Prabhupada explains in his commentary on this verse, a house, for instance, is made of earth, wood, stone, iron, cement, and so many other material things, and if we think in terms of Sri Isopanisad, we must know that we cannot produce any of these materials ourselves. We can simply bring them together and transform them into different shapes by our labor. A laborer cannot claim to be a proprietor of a thing just because he has worked hard to manufacture it. A friend told me a story about an office in France where you can place your claim to ownership on a specific object, a table for instance. He told me of a lady who went into the office and stated that she would like to officially lodge herself as the owner of the sun. Okay, they said, no one else currently owns the sun. What do you want to own the sun for? She then explained to them that she wished to claim her ownership on the sun so that she could charge people for the use of it in the form of the sunlight they are receiving. We can clearly see the absurdity of this, but in reality, everything that we are claiming to be ours and making money off is like this, like the sun. How can we really have any special claim over it? We cannot create Prakriti energy. Only God can do that. Contemplation on this reveals the illusory nature of the value we put on the money system. The monetary value we place on things is totally arbitrary. Money is just another movement of God's energy. As the Isopanisad states, we each have a quota set aside for us by God. We can see that we have a right to live here, so what we receive from the Lord to sustain a simple life for ourselves and our family is fine and sufficient. We should be thankful for what we have received and recognize that it is from the Lord. And think, how can I return this energy to the Lord? What can I offer to Him? Even if it is just to pick up a piece of rubbish off the street in His name. Everything should be an offering to God. Swedenborg explains this is a kingdom of uses. Everything can be seen in light of its intrinsic use. When we offer our acts to God and find our place in the Lord's kingdom of uses, we unite the effect with the cause. God is the original cause, and everything in the material world is an effect. When we act from use in the spirit of offering to God, we return this effect back to the cause. This is a divine yoga that we can play a part in. Swedenborg explains, quote, intent and discernment and charity and faith are the first things, the sources. Actions and works are the last things. By way of pleasure and uses, there is a return from these last things to their first things, which are as stated are intent and discernment or charity and faith. It is obvious that the return occurs by way of pleasure and uses if we look at our conscious pleasure in actions or works. These are proper to each individual's love. They flow back to the first love, the sources, and in this way there is a yoking together. The pleasures in action and deeds are the pleasures we ascribe to use. That's from Divine Love and Wisdom 3:16. And later he says, the goal of creation takes form in the lowest things and is the return of everything to the Creator and the existence of a bond. Yoga, of course, means to yoke or to join, joining to that source of first cause. This is the way to value the manifestation of God's energy that we find ourselves a part of, and accept for ourselves only what is set aside as our quota, rejecting what is not. Prabhupada states, the root of sin is deliberate disobedience to the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Disobedience to the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being. End quote. We can see this in the way greed destroys people's hearts and the destructive effect it has on our natural environment. The wars that are fought over, this is my land, no, this is my land, and the destruction of the real value of a human being when their worth is measured in dollars. We should re-evaluate our value system and see things in light of their intrinsic use in the Lord's kingdom of uses. We should always ask ourselves, is God giving me this, or have I had enough?